Hi friends, welcome to my channel. I cannot believe that I am back with another blush video. If you're new here, hi, my name is Salima and I love blushes. Today we are diving into some of my all-time favorite summer blushes. I have got a good mix of creams and liquids and powders with some brand new launches and some tried and tested oldies but goodies. There's a range of colors too, from bright corals and peachy pinks to sultry reds and bronzy nudes. So hopefully there's something for everyone in this video. If you guys are ready for a swatch party, give this video a big thumbs up and let's get started. Let's start with some bright coral and peachy orange blushes. These colors look so vibrant and youthful during the summer months. For my first pick, I have this super affordable blush that actually looks like a nail polish, but I promise it's definitely a blush. This is from a Korean brand called Apiu, and the shade is CR02. It's a thin, watery formula that dries down to a slightly dewy finish on the skin. The best part is that you can really customize the look. You can apply a sheer wash of color for a subtle flush, or you can build it up for a more intense pop. This is seriously one of my favorite Korean makeup finds ever. Alright, staying on the affordable train, let's talk about this Pixi on the go blush stick in the shade Juicy. Now, compared to the Appeal blush, this one leans a little bit more orange on my skin with warmer undertones, so it gives a really fresh and juicy look to the skin. The formula on this Pixie stick is great. It's not too creamy or too dry, so it blends out super easily. Plus, it's a sheer blush, which makes it a perfect choice if you're new to orange blush and you just want a hint of that orange color without going too bold. Another sheer but long lasting blush is the Cha Cha Tint by Benefit. This is another coral orange blush shade on me. I really like how sheer it is, but you can build it up for more punch. Keep in mind that this is a lip and cheek stain, so it sets down really fast. That means you have to blend it quickly before it dries. Once it's on, it stays put. This is seriously long lasting, perfect for those hot, sweaty summer days when you don't want to worry about touch ups. Just remember to blend it fast and you are good to go. Now, if you're not scared of a pigmented blush, the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Blush in the shade Bellini will be your jam. Now, this isn't just any bright coral blush. It's the perfect summer shade with a formula that can handle anything summer throws your way. It's a cream to powder blush, so it goes on creamy for easy blending, but sets down to a powder finish that lasts all day. Trust me, this one is seriously long lasting, even in hot and humid summer, which makes it a great option for anyone with combo to oily skin types. I have dry skin and I love this formula. Another long lasting cream to powder blush is the LYS cream blush in the shade Inspire. Now, Inspire is this amazing warm peach shade with a touch of red peeking through it. It sets down to a beautiful satin matte finish, so it's not completely flat but not too glowy either. This gives my skin that perfect balance between a natural flush and a touch of summery glam. And trust me, this shade will look stunning on medium to 10 skin tones. It's so flattering. Now, if you want a glowy blush, LYS has another blush formula in the stick format. I have it in the shade Curvy, which is a peachy coral with a ton of metallic sheen. The formula itself is super creamy and really pigmented, so a little goes a long way. While it blends beautifully, I would recommend starting with a light hand and building up the intensity if you want more. I love this sheared out because it basically acts like a blush and a highlighter duo in one. I don't like to build up the pigment on this because I will end up with a lot of shimmer that can emphasize texture on the skin. Alright, everyone, time for a blush that's perfect for everyday wear. This next one is the Persona Cosmetics blush stick in the shade Guava. Now, this isn't your typical peach blush. It has more of these subtle brown and cinnamon undertones that really tones down the brightness. It's still a gorgeous peachy shade, but it's more muted making it super wearable for every day. I like to think of this shade as a summery, fresh vibe with a touch of sophistication. The formula itself is super creamy and blends out beautifully. Plus, it lasts a good 6 to 8 hours on my skin without any setting powder or spray. A recent addition to my blush collection is the Hourglass Unreal Liquid Blush in the shade Moment. On my skin tone, this leans more muted peach because of these subtle beige brown undertones. It's perfect for everyday wear, but it still gives a summery vibe. It has a buildable formula, so you can start with a little for a natural flush, or you can layer it up for a more dramatic pop of color. I love the packaging on this. It has a dropper that dispenses the perfect amount of product, so there is no mess and no waste. I wasn't sure how long this blush would last since the formula is so thin and serum like, but I was pleasantly surprised. I got a good 6 to 7 hours of wear even without setting it with a powder, which is a big win in my book. If you love a hydrated, glowy finish on your skin, you will enjoy this blush. Last but not least in this category is the Benefit Cosmetics Powder Blush in the shade Peachin. Now, this one is the most subtle peach blush out of the bunch. On my tan skin right now, it barely shows up. But if you have a lighter skin tone, this would be a perfect nudie peach blush. The cool thing about this blush is that it has a neutral undertone, so it can really pair well with a lot of different makeup looks. This is a great option if you're new to peach blush or if you want a hint of color that's buildable. All right, everyone, let's take a little break from our peach blushes and dive into some gorgeous bronzy blush shades. These are perfect for recreating that sun-kissed bronzy look. With these warmer tones, I love applying them on the apples of my cheeks and blending them up towards my temples. It adds a natural lift to my face. First up, I have one of my all time favorite blush formula, the Merit Flush Balm in the shade Persimmon. This is such a stunning, rusty terracotta color that's perfect for warming up my complexion and adding some beautiful dimension. See how it's not super pigmented in the first swipe? That makes it really beginner friendly. You can build it up for more intensity or keep it sheer for a subtle hint of warmth. I love the shape of this blush. It allows for a really controlled application and placement of the blush. So, if you are ever intimidated by a bronzy or terracotta shade, the Merit Flush Balm is a fantastic place to start. It's easy to blend, easy to apply, and sets down to a natural finish that looks gorgeous on the skin. If you enjoy a watercolor kind of flush on your cheeks, you have to check out the Chanel Water Fresh blush in the shade Deep Apricot. This blush has these tiny color pigments suspended in a watery base. I like to take a pea-sized amount and mix it on the back of my hand. Then I'll swirl my brush in it to pick up the product and apply it to my cheeks. You can see how even a tiny amount gives such a pretty pop of color. This shade leans a bit more orange compared to the Merit Persimmon, so it gives a brighter, more vibrant flush to my skin tone. Plus, the formula is super long lasting, so it's perfect for those hot summer days when you want your makeup to stay put. Now, let's talk about a nudie bronzy blush. This is the House Labs powder blush in the shade Fire Moon. The shade complements my medium tint complexion. It's a one and done product for me. It adds a touch of sun-kissed warmth and dimension to my face. The pigment on this is amazing, so I can skip bronzer because this blush adds both color and warmth. The formula itself is just divine. It's soft and velvety, plus it has this blurring effect on my skin. By the way, guys, if you're looking for natural nudie blushes, I actually have a whole other video dedicated to such blushes. I will link it up in the description box below so you can check it out if you want. If you enjoy blushes like the Fire Moon by House Labs that we just talked about, you will love the Nudestic blush tint in the shade Sunkissed. This one leans a bit more beige compared to the Fire Moon's peachiness, so it creates a slightly different kind of sun-kissed look. Plus, it has SPF 30 built in, which is a major bonus for some extra sun protection on those hot summer days. However, on my skin, I get about 3 to 4 hours of wear before it starts to fade. It's not the most long lasting formula, so if you want it to last all day, I would recommend setting it with a powder or a setting spray. Now let's talk about two very similar shades with different formulas. The Saie Dew Blush in Spicy and the e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush in the shade Bronze Bombshell. Both are these gorgeous warm terracotta shades with a red undertone. They will give you that perfect, bronzed, radiant, and sun kissed summer look. The biggest difference is in the formula. Say is a gel blush, so it's kind of translucent, like a wash of color that lets your skin show through. You can build it up for more intensity, but it will always stay natural looking. This makes it super easy to use, especially if you're new to liquid blushes. The e.l.f. blush, on the other hand, is very pigmented. Don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. It's a great option for you if you are comfortable with liquid blushes and you know how to handle a stronger color payoff. Sticking with the bronzy vibes, let's talk about another similar shade from e.l.f., the Putty Blush in the shade Bali. This one has a cream to powder formula, so it goes on creamy for easy blending but sets down to a matte finish. It's less pigmented compared to the e.l.f. liquid blush, so you might need to build it up a little more for a stronger color payoff. Plus, it has a touch of shimmer in it, so just keep that in mind. Now, the formula itself is actually really nice, but the packaging is a bit of a bummer. It comes in this tiny pot that's kind of hard to get your usual blush brushes into. If Elf could put this shade in a bigger pot or a pan format, that would be a total winner. But hey, for the price, it's still a great option if you don't mind the packaging and if you're looking for a matte bronzy blush with a hint of shimmer. Now let's talk about blush shades that will flatter a lot of different skin tones. These are rosy, peachy pinks that have a blend of warm and cool undertones. They're not just for summer months. I love wearing these shades in spring too. First up, we have two similar shades with different finishes. The Clinique Cheek Pop in Ginger Pop and the House Labs Powder Blush in French Rosé. These are powder blushes, but they feel and blend like a cream. The formulas are creamy, pigmented, and super long lasting. The color itself is a stunning rosy shade with a touch of pink, so it awakens my complexion without being overly bright. The key difference here is the finish. Clinique has a bit of shimmer that sets down to a radiant glow, while House Labs has a more natural finish, so you can pick whichever finish you prefer. If you want a little more pink, then the new Kosas blush in the shade Blist is a good option. This blush is a baked formula, which means that the powder is super easy to work with and blend. You have tons of control over how much pigment you pick. Bliss itself is a beautiful peachy pink shade with a lot more pink than peach and a lot more shimmer, so I can easily wear this during the spring season too. Another relatively new blush launch is the Lawless Cream Blush in the shade Starburst. It's really pretty soft peach with a hint of pink, but the formula is a bit tricky for me. It's creamy, that's for sure, but it has this really slippery feel, kind of like a silicone based primer. Because of that, it has a blurring effect on the skin. However, if I'm not careful, it can easily lift my makeup underneath. So it's not easy to work with, in my opinion. Instead, I would rather go with something like the Makeup by Mario Soft Pop Plumping Blush in the shade Just Peachy. The formula is creamy, lightweight, and blends like a dream. It doesn't lift my makeup at all and gives this beautiful dewy finish. The good thing is that it's not super pigmented. So if you're a bit nervous about brighter coral shades, this is a great option to start with. But if you're not afraid to go bold, Makeup by Mario also has this blush stick in the shade Soft Coral. This one is seriously pigmented. Just one swipe and you have got a burst of color. It also sets down to a dewy finish. So if you prefer a subtle flush, go with this. And if you prefer a bold statement, go with this. And last but not least in this blush category is an old favorite of mine, the Nudesticks Matte Blush in Sunset Strip. It's the perfect mix of coral and pink, so it gives this subtle sun-kissed look to my skin tone. The formula on this is incredibly long lasting, so it's a must have during the summer months. Now let's switch gears and talk about some red blushes. These are not true red blushes, but they offer a softer, more wearable alternative to a classic true red. So you get a natural flush with a hint of vibrancy. The first blush in the lineup is the Huda Beauty Liquid Blush in Watermelon Pop. Now, this isn't your typical red blush. It's more of a warm, rusty red with a lot of brown undertones. That's actually my preferred blush shade compared to a true red. I love that you can easily sheer it out for a natural flush. But be warned, there's quite a bit of shimmer going on here. So if you're not a fan of that glowy look, this might not be your cup of tea. Next up, we have the Gucci Luminous Matte Blush in the shade Soft Red. If you have watched my other blush videos, you know I am obsessed with this formula. It has this amazing soft focus effect on the skin and it lasts forever. This particular shade leans more towards a soft terracotta red on me, so I can pair this with literally any makeup look. I am obsessed. Now let's talk about some bright, bold shades. First up, we have the Nudesticks Magnetic Lip Paint in the shade Fresh Fiji. This is an orangey red shade on me. Now, I don't use this on my lips, but I love it as my blush. It's this vibrant orange red that just wakes up your complexion. The formula feels like a mousse, and it's super easy to blend and sheer out. Even though it's pigmented, it's still beginner friendly. The last blush in this video is the Rare Beauty Liquid Blush in the shade Joy. You guys know how pigmented these Rare Beauty liquid blushes are, so I'm glad I got the mini size. This shade is a beautiful coral infused red that looks stunning with my summer tan. It has a gorgeous dewy finish that lasts all day long. With these super pigmented liquid blushes, I prefer to use a beauty blender to blend it out for a more diffused look. Alright, friends, that wraps up today's video. If you find this video helpful, give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more makeup fun. Let me know in the comments what other blush videos you would love to see. I'm always looking for new ideas. I'll see you in my next one. Bye for now.